it's really positive, very positive. So they and this is on an ongoing daily basis. So that's why they feel it's a family.
Rowntree Montessori Schools operates 4 campuses in Brampton, Ontario, serving kids from kindergarten through elementary school. They offer co-ed learning, high academic standards, and a Montessori-based approach, with special offerings from French to music and more. For Vin and Sangita Puri, though, what has made Rowntree so special to them and their sons in grade 3 and 7 has been the safe, kind, and caring environment that has made Rowntree for their family feel like a second home. Vin, would you tell me where that experience started with Rowntree?
Our older boy, Dylan, he went to Rowntree from a fairly early age, around age 2, and we started at their prep school, and we were very happy with the environment that was created there. It was a very nurturing environment. The teachers there very kind and caring, and in addition to that, we found him to thrive, and he was learning great stuff at a very young age, so we were very happy with that. We continued him right through into grade school there, and we were pretty happy with how things were moving along. When we had our second boy, Ryan, a few years later, it was just a logical place to put him into as well.
Rowntree has different preparatory campuses. I think about 3 preparatory campuses. So actually, when we moved to Brampton, I was researching good schools for my son. I was looking at in Caledon, Brampton, Mississauga. So when I met with the principal at the preparatory campus, it was an easy decision. And then when I met with the teachers as well, so we had moved our eldest child 4 years after into the academy to start off his first year at the academy, grade 1.
Tell me about when you just first discovered Rowntree and the process of researching and discovering it.
Well, I had a checklist, like most parents. I wanted to interview the principal. I wanted to meet with the teachers. I wanted to look at the curriculum. I wanted to look at the environment. And I did that with all of the schools that I was researching within Peel. So I had spoken to a few parents as well. That was very critical for us in making our decision. And it just seemed it was the right decision because everything was
everything seemed to fit. All the check boxes were checked off, and we figured that it had a lot of really convenient aspects to it, so we'll give it a try. And we were pretty much hooked after that first year. As we mentioned, our older boy Dylan had a great experience there. We were very happy. So when you make this kind of decision, you can never be sure. It's a year by year thing, but we've stuck with them for a good decade now. So we've been very happy with the entire experience so far.
Vin, you're quite correct that there's been many years that's gone by. Your son Dylan is now 11. That's been nearly a decade that you've been with Rowntree. Thinking back to where you were as parents back then, picking Rowntree, to where you are now as a family, how has your relationship with the school evolved?
Well, we feel like we're part of a family. We feel like we're part of the Rowntree community, and we've developed excellent rapport and relationships with the other teachers, or the teachers, the staff, and other parents as well. And I think it's been a very natural process. Over the last 10 years or so, we've gotten to meet some wonderful parents, some really good kids with good values, and both of our kids have been exposed to sort of this type of classroom environment where the other kids are very cordial, friendly, respectful, The teachers really get involved, they care. So our, initial experience, as I said, it's sort of a year by year thing, and so you can never be sure. But certainly, we were comfortable early on, and that's only grown. So I think it's been actually really positive.
We've had ongoing conversations with our children. I like to check in with them after each semester, especially towards the end of the year, regarding their experience at the school. How are you feeling? How do you feel that your year went with your teacher, with your peers, administrative staff? And it's always been positive. My kids always say that they feel like it's their second home. They are part of a family, and they feel very comfortable. They look forward to going to school every year.
We just mentioned values. Sangita, I was wondering if you would tell me in a word something about Rowntree's values.
Teamwork. It's interesting because they do instill the same values that are important to parents. They focus on values. They actually take one particular value every month, and the teacher will have conversations about that one value. The students have the conversation amongst each other, and at the end of the month, the one particular student who really sort of shined, is rewarded, whether it be teamwork, hard work, leadership, grit, responsibility. These are all things that parents want to instill in their children, and Rowntree definitely does that within their school community. So it's very happy to see.
I'm really intrigued by this idea of one value a month, and thinking about how you have these conversations, these check-ins with your sons. What have you learned about their journey learning values month by month at Rowntree?
Well, I would say that both of our children seem to understand what these different values mean. I think that at a young age, it's hard to really tell kids what responsibility is until they are trying to experience it, what teamwork is, until they actually start to work well with other kids. So you can talk about it, but I think that they actually are encouraged to go out and experience these values themselves, to go out and experience things in the classroom environment that will teach them to be good people, teach them how to get along with other people well, to teach them the value of hard work and determination. So I think that even at this stage, our younger one, he understands what it's like to work in a group and how important that is later on in life. So it's not just a matter of doing an assignment with one or two other kids. It's a matter of understanding other people's point of view, working well, assigning tasks. So he's still pretty young, but I think even at this age, he's getting that, which isn't necessarily the case in a lot of classroom environments. I mean, academics are obviously stressed. There's a lot of great schools out there, but I think that really to go above and beyond, it's not only a matter of teaching them how to be a great student, it's a matter of teaching them how to really be good, kind, caring people. And I think that doing it this way, where they have all these little values, because I think all these little values add up to being that kind of citizen that we want our kids to eventually be. So I think that it's nice the way that they've broken it down. Kids are able to focus on different little blocks, you could say, in this foundation on a month-by-month basis.
They really focus on these core values because I believe that in the end they want to shape these kids into good people, and so aside from academics being providing a very enriched curriculum, this is also very important to them, these values, which we as parents really appreciate.
Now, of course, Rowntree Montessori School, I'm curious, is that something you set out to find deliberately years ago, or is that something that you came into more coincidentally?
I came into it more coincidentally. As I said, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, we moved to Brampton. And for me, I had a checklist, and it was, I mean, I went to Caledon, I was in Mississauga, Brampton, and I was, you know, aside from the academics, of course, I wanted my children to have the best education. There was other things that were important to me as well: bullying, the safety of the school, and just values. The teachers, how nurturing are they? Are they open to discussions? And so we feel very blessed. Like I said, my experience with the preparatory campus was amazing. That's where both our kids sort of got their foundation, and then we moved along to the academy in grade 1, both of them, which was a really nice transition.
And how do they manage that transition at Rowntree?
Great. My older one had a little bit of anxiety initially, just for a week during the summer school, and his former principal had found out. I had sort of had a conversation saying he's a bit nervous, so she had contacted the principal at the academy campus, and the next day I got a phone call. We had a meeting. My son had a meeting with the principal, myself as well, and it was just to make him comfortable and ask him questions about why he's feeling anxious, and try to really help him feel more comfortable. And then sort of this weight lifted off his shoulders, and he's excited to start school in grade 1 at the academy. Yeah. So they really work as a team. It's not just they all work sort of together when the kids are leaving preparatory campuses to enter the academy. So that's really nice to see. They are definitely a family. It's a great unit.
I'd wonder if you'd tell me something about what happens in the classroom, and from the academic, the curricular side of things. Why is the approach at Rowntree something that you've become appreciative of over the years?
Well, they do go above the Ontario standards, but it's done at a really great pace. They are integrating cross-curricular tasks. So if the children are working on a speech about endangered species, they integrate computers in it as well. So they have the opportunity to do a Google slide presentation. Perhaps they'll do a drawing of the animal that they selected as well. So they're trying to pull from different subjects. It is very structured, which is fantastic. Every kid, when they walk in at 9 o'clock, it's respectful. At 9 o'clock, you're listening to announcements. You start your day. It's structured. It's always math. You get your break. You get language. You get your lunch. You do science or social studies in the afternoon. They really go above and beyond in terms of delivering the curriculum in a fun, informative way. They give ample time to do assignments. They are testing in different ways. Sometimes it's just on hard copy. Sometimes it's through their Chromebooks or the computer. So it's nice to see. It's not just so their delivery of their curriculum is not so rigid. It's not just the traditional way of learning, which is just notebooks, textbooks. They pull from, yes, textbooks, but other resources as well.
I'm curious, if you were to both mentally rank the things that you most appreciate about Rowntree, I'm curious as to how each of your rankings might be different. Can you each think of one thing that you think you would rank differently than your partner?
Well, I would say that probably if you don't have strong foundation for academic success, I mean, everything else is going to be sort of secondary to that. But I think I really appreciate the fact that it's a really intimate environment. Like the classrooms are fairly small. It's not a large school by any stretch. It's you know, but it's a nice size. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate the size of the school, the size of the classrooms, the fact that with that the kids get a lot of sort of individual attention when they need it. And I find that it's also a very safe environment. And I say
Yeah.
that with regards to two certain aspects. I think in this day and age, you know, we're all a little bit, you know, I guess nervous is maybe a bit overstating it. But I think, you know, you leave your kids somewhere for the day and you go on, do your business, and you just assume that you're going to be picking them up later and they're going to be safe and healthy. But I think that, you know, we certainly seen, you know, situations where that's not necessarily the case. So in the Rowntree situation, because of the way that the school is structured, I felt very comfortable with that aspect of it right off the bat, and also safe in the sense that we know how they feel about bullying. It's very, very strongly not only discouraged, but it's absolutely kind of forbidden in the schools. So we know that our kids are going to be in an environment where they're given every opportunity to thrive in, and they don't have to worry about things like that.
It was interesting because when I was looking at the schools, I mean, I did my homework and I'd come home and we'd have a conversation about what I liked, what I didn't like. You know, I focused more on the academics, the teachers, the environment, where he was interested more in, you know, what's their policy for bullying, and the fees also, and yeah, just the safety, right? The safety was really, really important for my husband. And also diversity. They really embrace and celebrate diversity, which was very, I think, important to both of us. So we had a checklist. I had a checklist, but coming together, that's why I think that we both sort of fell in love with the school, because it sort of
Yeah, I think it crossed off both of our checklists and the
yeah.
most important things.
So,
And obviously we alluded to the fact that it's strong academically. I think obviously that's one of those things that's going to be important to every parent.
so you know, we're talking now about safety and about the importance as well of emotional safety for the child and the healthy development of the child. We were talking earlier about the values-based education at Rowntree and what that does for a whole child approach. I'm wondering if you could maybe unpack this idea for a bit for me about how these two things might be connected. How does an environment of emotional safety reinforce a positive full child education?
Well, I think that, you know, you want your child to be able to maximize their potential. You want them to get the most out of their education as they possibly can, without being distracted by other stuff that's completely unnecessary. So, you know, if you have another child picking on your child during the school year, you know, that's something that shouldn't be tolerated. But unfortunately, in a lot of situations, it's kind of buried, and you only find out about it after your child's had a miserable year. You know, so these kind of things do interfere with the child's ability to do the best that they can. So you want to make sure that that's completely nipped in the bud. And in terms of sort of their overall development of their values and stuff, I think that, you know, if there are some emotional issues, I mean, they aren't swept under the rug here. They are dealt with head on. And I think that all the children in the class are given an opportunity to sort of have discussions about that sort of stuff out in the open, and so you want all these, you know, all these kids end up benefiting from that and evolving.
Some of the children, some of the other parents I've spoken to, whether their kids have had a rough month or just going through things, which is very normal, you know, the teachers are aware, very supportive, the staff, the administrative staff, the principal, everybody. Like I said, it's a very, it's a family. Everyone's involved. It's not just their academic success that they're concerned about. They are very concerned about the child's overall mental health, emotional, you know, well-being. It's just as important. The child has an opportunity to express how they're feeling, why they're feeling it with their teacher privately. If there's any issues with students, it is discussed amongst, you know, first independently with one child, then the other, and then they bring the children together. Solutions, it's a very solution-oriented school. And then parents are involved. It's done in a very professional way, and the end goal is always to sort of be united, forgiveness as well. You know, there's been moments with both of our kids. Whether it's they're having an emotional day, it's addressed, and then they move forward. But it's done in a very healthy way.
Now, having this, having the culture to back this up, to accomplish what you're talking about, and the important priorities there, it requires a significant relationship piece. I'm wondering if you could tell me more about the people at the school and the relationships that they create with the students that allow for this kind of culture.
Well, every morning they have a you know, a kiss and ride set up. The principal is out every morning with the vice principal. There's usually 2 staff members on duty as well. What's really nice is, regardless of, you know, your child being in grade, whatever grade they're in, every teacher knows you. You know,
That's a benefit of a school that size, I think.
they are greeted, you know, respectfully and with a lot of love. And the minute they walk in, their front desk staff are just so kind, loving, caring, supportive. They know, I mean, these kids are running into their arms, and, you know, they want to be hugged, they want to be kissed, they want, you know, how are you? And everyone says good morning. The elder children are sort of, I think they're given sort of responsibilities to walk around to make sure everyone's okay, or if there's any issues, if children need help, assistance with their bags. It's a very supportive environment amongst the peers. I've seen kids struggle walking in with, you know, too many bags, and you'll see an elder kid in grade 8 helping out, or the front desk staff will assist and say, can you please take, you know, John Smith to his room? And there's no hesitation. The kids go to their classrooms. They instill, you know, the kids are reading as they, you know, it's really positive, very positive. So they, and this is on an ongoing daily basis. So that's why they feel it's a family, because everyone knows everyone, and it doesn't matter what grade you are in. You're not just a number. You know, you feel like you are dropping your child off to their second home.
Now, what's something that you think your boys appreciate about the school that isn't on your radar? You know, we've talked about what's important to you guys as parents, but what do you think your boys have loved about Rowntree, or what they maybe would love to see improved one day? Both sides.
I've asked them that question, both of them, and, you know, it's interesting because Dylan isn't going into grade 7, Ryan is going into grade 3, and they both said the same thing. We love the teachers, they're so kind, and we love the fact that it feels like a family. They really focused on the fact that everyone is so kind, and it's a family unit, both of them. That's what they appreciate the most. which is wonderful. It's wonderful for parents to hear that.
Vin, any other thoughts on that one?
I'd have to agree. I think that they have found an environment that they feel very comfortable in, and they can thrive in. And so I think so far from what we've seen, their academic potentials are maximized. And I would say, you asked about what things that they might like to see improved. Honestly, there really isn't that much that they've voiced to us. You know, I would say perhaps my older boy, you know, he's really into baseball and a couple of sports. It's hard for any school to have teams in every single sport possible, but obviously my older boy would vote for baseball if he had a chance to expand their repertoire of extracurricular stuff. So, but you know, that's a bit of a wish list, so not going to happen in every situation for sure.
Maybe to put it this way, you know, if you two were made, you know, principal, head of school, whatever, if you were in charge as of tomorrow, what's something that you would, you know, double down on, that you would keep doing and reinforce? Something that, and something that you would work on, something that you would invest in improving?
That's a great question, actually. I mean, I think for Rowntree, I would say that they do a great job. They have this thing called the STEM fair, the science, technology, engineering, mathematics.
They really make kids think outside the box. They give them a problem and they have to figure out how to solve it.
This is sort of culturally a big deal, and you know, all the kids get involved, and it's a great experience. The kids can work as teams or on their own, but they end up, you know, for a couple of months, they really end up working hard. They learn a lot, and yeah, it's been a little bit of a sort of cultural thing that has been implemented into the school, which I think that, you know, they can definitely double down on. But I think that they do a good job with that for sure. I think in terms of, you know,
their online platform is exceptional.
Yeah, I was going to say.
When they, in order for you to track your child or children's progress, it's very easy to follow. It's very organized. You know, you're able to go online. You can message any teacher, their math teacher, science teacher, computer teacher. They respond within 24 hours.
They have a really good communication policy.
Yeah, you have the ability to see when your child's assignment was given and when it's due, how well they did, comments that were given by the teacher. So it's a really great platform that they've set up. It's not overwhelming at all, and easy to follow, as I said before. And they really, one thing that they should be commended for is, especially during this pandemic, we have spoken to several of our friends who have their kids in other private schools. And they've been, our friends and his colleagues have been very disappointed. But not Rowntree. They have continued to deliver what they promised to deliver. Our kids both feel like they're still at school. And again, parents were given, you know, throughout before the March break ended, we were given a lot of notice, updates in terms of the platform that they were going to set up, and they didn't have a lot of time. So they work well under pressure in terms of implementing this platform. It was very successful. Both my kids thrived on it. They have learned skills that, you know, most adults still have trouble with, like in terms of just like, you know, with how to be part of a classroom with and having conversations with your peers and your teacher, which, you know, muting mics and working the camera and working the chats, navigating their schedule. So they have to be.
I
really
should say
commended on.
for those watching that before our interview, Dylan did come on to help sort us out with the different settings. So that does speak volumes.
It does, yes. But you know, it's very, very impressive. So you know, like I said, a lot of disappointed parents we've spoken to, but again, not just aside from the academic component, you know, like I said, it's we had the ability to go online as well and check in to see, okay, you know, you have math at this time, language and whatnot. But you know, they really took interest in the children's emotional well-being. They had implemented a passion project. Every child had to sort of focus on something they've always wanted to learn or focus on their passion that, you know, and sort of gear away from the academics. So during that 1 hour, they had the ability to go out and if they want to bake, they would bake, or if they've always wanted to learn how to bake, they, you know, they figure out ways, you know, to go offline or, you know, read books or look through recipes online and just create something that they've always wanted to, that would make them happy. They did have a wellness workshop where they had a teacher checking in with the students. And I appreciated that as a mom, because you know, I check in with my parents, my children, but it's nice to know that the school also is concerned. You know, how are you feeling today? Draw me a picture. I want you to write the emotion. Now create or draw something around that picture that's making you feel that way. So the principal can be aware, or the owners or the administrators, the staff can be aware of who is struggling during this pandemic. You know, then we can have conversations with parents. So that was very much appreciated, and I was very impressed with that. Honestly, I didn't expect that. I thought that it would just be, you know, their regular subjects being delivered, but the wellness workshop, the passion projects was really nice.
I would have to say that during this pandemic, they, from an academic point of view, they haven't missed a beat. Like it certainly seems like they've kept pace with what they would have done if they were actually in a classroom. So that's actually, I think that they really deserve to be quite commended for that.
Maybe it's something that's come out in your conversations with parents, or maybe it's something that's come out through the online learning. But what's something that you've seen during the pandemic that's really brought out the true nature of the culture at Rowntree?
Well, I definitely think that they have tried to make life as normal as possible for the kids. Like they really have made a concerted effort to do all the same things. They have the national anthem. They go through the classes as they otherwise would. And a great example of that is actually their phys ed class. They actually have the phys ed teacher doing different sort of exercises and things like that, and we have our kids either in the basement or in the family room following along and watching their phys ed teacher go through the motions, and they're doing the same thing. So they're, you know, I mean,
they're trying to bring as much normalcy to the kids as possible. You know, something that I really appreciated is during this time is that we were supposed to be celebrating, or the kids were supposed to be celebrating International Day at the school, and of course, you know, unfortunately, they couldn't. But you know, they made a great effort to still go ahead and do something that where it reflected, you know, all the children's backgrounds. So they were encouraged to wear their clothing of their heritage, eat foods from their country that, you know, and they sort of wanted them to celebrate. They wanted to continue to celebrate International Day. So that was wonderful. Today we were supposed to be at it was supposed to be a day off, and a family fun day they call it, and all the families were supposed to get together and be at Professor's Lake, and you know, have all the campuses come together, and it's almost like a beautiful big beach party. And unfortunately, of course, you know, it didn't happen. But this afternoon, they, you know, they have set up activities. Put on your beach clothes, put on your hats, go into your backyard, and they've set up different activities. So nothing academic, let's learn how to make ice cream. Let's learn how to make bubbles. So, and the kids are thrilled about it. So that's something that they've definitely continued to do, to say, you know what, I know we couldn't do this at school, but let's try to do this at home and online. They found creative ways to continue doing the activities that the children really look forward to. Special days that
even the STEM fair, they went ahead with that too.
Yeah,
Because usually
yeah.
it is actually the kids have to make a model of whatever they're going to be talking about, and these models are presented, you know, to different parents and to the judges and whatnot.
They
sort
were
of
very
live
mindful.
models.
Yeah, and they were very mindful of, you know, whatever you have at home, recyclable items, please use those. They were very, you know,
They were able to do the models, you know,
Yeah.
sort of either image them on the computer or even do
Yeah.
Tinkercad models. So they set up some pretty nice options under the circumstances. We
so
thought that
yeah,
was
the
really
kids
good.
still competed online.
Cool.
Competed online, and it was nice. Yeah.
So, in conclusion, I'm wondering if there's anything that I haven't asked you that I really ought to. Anything else that's on your radar that you'd like to discuss?
I think one of the things that we just touched upon were the fees, and I think that's a very individual thing. But what I would say is that we've certainly, you know, done some homework, and I think that you get really good value for what you pay for with Roundtree. So one of those things that I think is on everybody's checkbox, it might be at a different sort of level on different people's checkboxes in terms of where, you know, it is in terms of a priority. But nobody's immune to that. Nobody wants to feel like they're overpaying for anything. And I would say that Roundtree is very reasonable, especially relative to other schools and especially relative to what you get. As you know, we have a lot of positive things to say about them, but obviously if their fees were ridiculous, you know, maybe it would be like, okay, I mean, they're a great school, but are they worth it? Are we getting our value for the dollar? And I think, you know, in this case, it turns out that they have a lot of really good positive things going for them, and their fees are also very reasonable. So we're pretty happy with that.
Are there other things like, you know, fees is a very valid and important thing to talk about, and are there other things that might be on your checklist as a discerning parent that, you know, as you like leave Roundtree, that you're like, I don't know if we'll get that again. That was too good.
The size of this school, like I said, you know, for me, it's been a real positive.
It really allows for an intimate learning environment, and their class sizes, whether it's 1 to 18 or 1 to 19, you know, you don't like with public schools and other private schools that they could be, the
Could be
numbers
a little
are
bit more. I mean, but
but
even if the class size is the same, I think that
it's perfect. Their class sizes are perfect.
yeah, it's a good class size, and like I said, the size of the school, it I think, you know, for our kids, probably it avoids a lot of distractions. But we also recognize that as they get older, you know, it's almost like trying to keep them in sort of a little bubble, and you know, that's going to change obviously when they get into high school and beyond. It's going to be very large, and you know, it can be overwhelming. But I think that you know, we appreciate that at least for the time being. I think it's actually a really nice thing. So
one thing that's also really I've noticed is that because they do provide an enriched curriculum, you know, Dylan is only finishing grade 6, going to grade 7. I already feel, I mean, they're graduates. Upon graduation, these kids are very, very well prepared for high school. So that's really important because, you know, sometimes we've spoken to other parents. Again, kids are in other private schools. You know, it's a different story. But at Roundtree, the kids really excel. Their math programs, it's advanced. They do a year ahead in math, but overall, it's not just math. In every subject, the kids graduating grade 8, they're doing really well. Very, very well prepared.